Hello and welcome everyone to the sixth episode of our ABAP on HANA course come S4 HANA training on YouTube with me Amrit. So in this session we are going to discuss about the new ABAP syntaxes that are there. So you might have heard about 7.4 and 7.5 syntax. Lots of changes were made by SAP. So if your company let's say if your company is still or is working on S4 HANA on S4 HANA, it does not means it does not means that you need to replace all your code with the new syntax. It doesn't mean that you need to replace all your code with the new syntaxes. The old syntax still works. The old syntax still works in the same way as it was in ECC. Even even you can use the same old syntax for the future also. SAP has told, yes, you can use that. But if you are not using the new syntax, perhaps you will simply not get the complete advantage of our S4 HANA system. You will not get the complete advantage of this SAP HANA database, because SAP HANA is the most powerful database that we see across the world for real-time data processing, and for that purpose we must use all of its features. New syntaxes simply allows us to enhance the functionality of our code. That is why we must learn the new syntaxes. So what are the changes there? Let's see them. SQL enhancement that happened in new syntax. SQL enhancements in new syntax. So some SQL enhancements happened. What are they? Let's see them one by one. We can now pass literals. We can now pass literals in SQL. We can now pass literals in SQL. Escaping of host variables using @ sign before variables, internal tables, etc. So escaping was introduced here for our SQL syntax. Escaping was introduced so that my system will not confuse between the host variables and normal ones. Then we can specify columns separated by comma. We can specify columns separated by comma. Then we can use new SQL functions. For example, seal, queries, etc. Okay, we will be able to use case expression also in our SQL statement. We will be able to use case statements, right? We can use aggregate functions inside case statement, right? And having clause also. We can do all these things. Then we can also use more than. We can also use more than 20 joins. I believe you understand what is joins. So you can use more than 20 joins in single query. Do you understand how much effective our query is going to be? At the same time, you can hit more than 20 tables within a single query. You don't need to write lots of code now. A single query performing all the things together. So these are some of the SQL enhancement that happened. Then some ABAP language enhancement also happened. So ABAP language enhancements in new syntax. ABAP language enhancement in new syntax. So we can now use inline data declaration. Inline data declaration. We can use the concept of string concatenation. String concatenation with string operator. We can use the concept of string concatenation with string operator, right? We can also use the value expression. So we can use the value expression for extracting the values out. Then we can use table operation. This is an alternative of read table command. We can use corresponding has. Moving data from one internal table to another, right? Then we can use new syntax to create class objects also. This is inspired from C++ and Java. So what SAP did, it made lots of changes in new syntaxes, or we can simply say they make some enhancement in the ABAP programming language also, and also with some enhancement in SQL, which we usually write for performing lots of operations. Okay, so let's see them one by one. I will simply go to my package, I will right click and I will go for new ABAP program. So the new ABAP syntax. Okay, description, new ABAP syntax. Go for next. Select the TR and finish. Okay, this is my editor where I am going to write the code. We are on HANA Studio or Eclipse. This is connected with my application server. So whatever code we are going to run, it will run on the application server. It is also connected with the database directly. So we can interact with both of them from here easily, right? We can easily interact with both of them here. Perfect. All right. So here we also have something, comments. We all know what are comments. If you talk about Eclipse, Control+7 is for comments. So if I'm writing something here, we have Control+7, select it, Control+7 to comment, Control+7 to uncomment. Same thing, just you can use for comment and uncomment here. So let's start with the first one that we have saw. The first one, comma separator and escaping of host variables. Comma separated and escaping of host variables. So now we can simply do the comma separation. In ABAP we can create internal table with same name as database tables, right? So in order to inform the system that what is my source and what is my host variable, we need to now use escaping of host. So earlier, like if I want to create internal table, we usually use LT or IT to define our internal table. But now if my system is not getting confused, so escaping of host here, where it is, let me just write it here. So in ABAP we can create internal tables with the same name as database tables, so in order to inform that what is my source, what is the name of my source and what is my host, we need to we need to now use escaping of host variable. That escaping symbol is at the rate, which we use at the rate. This one is used for the same purpose. So here, let's say I have to write some program. So I'm going to simply write for Mara table. Right? Okay, I'm going to simply write here for Mara table, Mara type table of. This is how we were writing earlier. Okay, Mara. Then it's work area if I have to declare. So LT minus Mara, like line of LT Mara. Then now instead of directly going for it, never use star, I will use that column names. So select Mattner, let's say MTART MBRSH mains from Mara into corresponding fields of at the rate LT Mara up to 10 rows. Okay, up to 10 rows. Then I will simply display it, right? How do we display it? Loop add LT Mara into LS Mara and loop. Then we simply display the data, right? We simply display the data using write statement. So LS Mara Mattner LS Mara MTART LS Mara MBRSH LS Mara MEINS, basic unit of measure, mains. So at the rate in the fields of table LT Mara up to 10 rows, then we are simply going to activate it. What I am doing, I have simply declared an internal table and work area. I have written a query. Now we can give comma separation here, comma separation between our columns, and also to differentiate my source and host variable, I am using here at the rate, which is escaping, so that my system can understand this is my host variable, this is my source, and now I am simply displaying it. So I will right click, I will go for run as, and I will go for ABAP application. See, we are getting the output. All our columns that we are looking for, all of them, we are looking for everything. We are getting the output here. We are simply getting the output. Okay, where is my program? New. getting our program, right? So we got our output. We got our output easily. Now inline data declaration. Then let's move on to the next topic, which is inline data declaration. Yeah, ABAP language enhancement inline data declaration. So let's discuss that. Inline data declaration. Data declaration. So what would have happened? One, what was the problem when we were declaring data? What was the problem if we were defining a variable just before writing any logic, and the top we are simply defining all our structures, internal table and variables? So what was the problem? So let's discuss that. Disadvantage of data declaration. Disadvantage of data declaration. Disadvantage of data declaration. Wastage of memory, right? We are simply declaring at the top, simply wastage of memory. It consumes lots of space while writing code, takes lots of time while writing them, right? Takes lots of time while writing them. Instead of already defining internal table, work area and variable, which always leads to wastage of memory if not utilized properly, we can now define them at the runtime. So this is another benefit, advantage. We can directly now define them at the runtime. We can directly define them at the runtime. So here now we can use data keyword, variable name to define internal table, work area, variable name at the runtime. We can simply define them at the runtime very easily. It is really easy. It's really easy. So now if you want to define, so in this particular program, instead of all this declaration, I could have directly written something here. I could have directly used data keyword, @data. I could have used directly @data, and I will be simply displaying it. Here I will use data keyword. Okay. Oh, sorry, corresponding fields will not be used into table. Yeah, it's okay, activate it. This is another beauty of our Eclipse. If there is some issue in syntaxes, automatically it shows you some error here. Now if you check, here I am using @escaping and here I am not using @. It is the simple answer for this question is, this is ABAP programming, and this is a SQL query. In SQL query, whatever the enhancement has happened, has happened only for SQL query. It has only happened, this escaping has happened only for SQL query, not for ABAP programming. So this is only for ABAP. Now we can directly select our column names from here, from table, and we can directly store them in the internal table. And then after, what I am doing, I am simply looping on my internal table and displaying it. Let's go and check. Activate, right click, execute it, run as ABAP application. See, same output I'm getting. Same output. Same thing I can also do for field symbol also. So if I don't want loop, I'll go for Ctrl+7 to comments, and then I will go for field symbol, loop, add, ultimara, assigning field symbol, 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 fs mara. You all know field symbol. Field symbols are like pointers. They point to the, okay, no issue. I have discussed that field symbol on the channel. You can go and check there. But field symbols are just like pointers. They simply point to the current address of the data object, current row. Here it will point to the first row for the first iteration, and then it will point to the second row. And if we compare with work area, field symbols are just like pointer. They do not take any space. Work area simply takes a space, but field symbols do not take any space. So if I will simply display this data, field symbol, Mara, Mattner, MTRT, MBRSH, means activate and check, right click, run as ABAP application. Perfect, working perfectly fine. It's working perfectly fine. So field symbols, field symbols, field symbols are like pointers, are like pointers. They do not take any space, they do not take any space. They point to the content of the data object. They only do the pointing part to the content of the data object. So here, for each iteration of my row, of my internal table, for each row, this work area is going to point on it. It is going to point on the first row, second row, third row, and accordingly data will be allocated. Accordingly data will be allocated, right? Accordingly data will be allocated to the field symbol, and then it could be displayed. Then we can also treat them as an object. We can also treat them as an object. We can convert every line of an internal table as an object. Another important note, we can convert every line of internal table into an object. We can simply convert them into an object, object oriented. Very beautiful concept. So here now we can give a reference also. So every line of internal table will become now an object. So loop add lt mara reference into data ls mara and loop. So now if I try to display the data here, the right statement, ls mara has become a object. So let's name it object. It will be more easier for understand. So lo mara this time, local object, Mattner. Oh, sorry. For object we need arrow sign. So Mattner now. So now we can simply replace the data here. Hello Mattner, hello Mara, then mtart, then hello Mara, mbrsh, then hello Mara, meins, right? We can check that, activate it, and execute it. ABAP application. See, same to same output, still same to same output. We can use this thing. Okay, so this is the first part of our ABAP new syntaxes. where we saw lots of things, some advantages and disadvantages, what are the enhancements that has happened for SQL and ABAP, and we will continue this thing in the next part. Thank you very much.